Thank you loud. Good morning. We have a quorum, which is very nice. And what I want to do is, the first thing is, I guess we need to approve the minutes from the June meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in
All
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good, thank you. We did finalize. I'll put it this way, it's a draft of the final version of the bylaws for the organization. A lot of scrutiny went into this. And I think the what we call the legal committee was pretty happy with the result. I don't think there's any further discussion from them, but I would appreciate everybody going through it, and if you see anything that glares for you,
Good.
let us know. I know we've all been involved in multiple nonprofits and things like that, and so we all come with a slightly different perspective, so I just need to. We have one final chance.
Yeah, right. Last chance, folks.
Did you send
And-
those, Vince?
I did, I just sent them.
Oh, okay.
If you want a hard
Here's one.
copy,
You're talking about the bylaws.
yeah,
But were you also talking about the I can't remember the name of the document.
The articles.
the articles.
Articles?
Mhm.
Or
That
was it
too.
only the bylaws you were talking about right
Well,
now?
right now, yeah, but the articles we reviewed.
In June, yeah.
I should send that out too, I guess, yeah. So, and then and then what's happening is that the application for the corporation, the Portsmouth Archive Center, Inc. It's going to the state, to the Secretary of State. We're all gonna sign it. I think we've reviewed that. There's no legal liability in doing that. It's just, it would be a record of this committee's efforts, I think,
Sure.
to move it forward. And I'm hoping that we can do that before the next meeting. Get that sent to the state, and I forget what Valerie said about that. Do you remember?
Timing of signing it,
Well, and when, submitting to the state.
or how long it takes them to process it?
Yeah, that, and I mean, when we should do it, or she wanted, we have to, I don't know, I guess
I
I'm,
think she said once we approve it, it's good to go and it's like an
Right.
8-day turnaround.
Yeah, so it said up
Yeah.
to 10 days.
Yeah.
Basically.
so we have to get the signatures then on a piece of paper.
Be done, yeah, really anytime. I think the other thing we had to do was just send over everybody's address to her, and she was gonna insert it, but into the articles of incorporation.
Yeah,
Just handwrite them in.
okay,
She got it.
yeah, did you send her that?
I was unable to locate the list that you had sent me, so if you could re-forward it to me, I would
Yeah.
appreciate it, please, thank you.
Or I can send it to her direct. Yes, okay, I'll do that. And so any other questions about the legal business?
When do you want us to sign?
What? We could maybe print that out,
Have the
but we haven't added the
names.
names are not added to the list.
I don't know if she cares if the names are handwritten or if they're typed in.
I have the email that you sent, Vince,
Yeah.
asking everyone to confirm their address.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone answered.
oh yeah, I
Negative.
have the spreadsheet of it.
Okay. If you
again.
need it, I can forward it to you, but I'm not sure that's the last version.
It was about a month ago.
Yep.
I think it was right after our last meeting.
Yeah,
It was July 1st that you sent out a thing saying, please confirm these are
Yeah.
correct.
I have it right here.
There you go.
And I have, oh, the only one I don't have confirmed was yours, Christine.
Oh, I did.
Portsmouth Public Library,
I have 175 Parrot Ave
Yep. Yeah, I think I confirmed in.
and CC Freeze at Portsmouth.com.
You have my new address.
that's true.
Let me double check.
I know I sent it to you and I said, if you need this for before my. closing
402
date.
State,
Yeah,
yeah, Unit 2A.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I have everybody. So, I'll just send that to Valerie today. And if she responds same day, she's amazing. So if she sends us back it would be nice if we could whip up a sheet of names
Mhm.
somehow. Just to printed name list where people can sign that. We can do that. During this hour. Anyway. Okay. And then the next pending thing is the conservation assessments. Have you heard
So,
anything back from?
yep, I have, we're using Barbara Moore.
Mhm.
And we're in the process of doing the purchase order. She's got some vacation. She and Peggy, who's helping her, have some vacation, but they should be doing it in the next month or two.
Good.
Ours is done. Barbara Moore finished it last week.
Oh, good. So what does it say?
Turns
Why
out,
do you have problems?
turns out it's not that interesting. It just,
473 boxes of broken stuff.
exactly, it just lists out the facts and the recommendations for how it should be stored.
Okay,
That's.
Is there a square footage for
There,
space? How much is it?
I'll have to go back, cause it's two different, it's the archaeological collection
Mhm.
and then what used to be the Thayer Cummings and archive collection.
Mhm.
So it's two different things.
That's good,
Yeah,
but they take different
they
environmental
need different
conditions.
environments,
Yeah.
correct.
Does that include what used to be the library?
Not
A
the
library
book,
went to the dump
what?
not the books.
Not the books, okay.
in Dover.
Huh?
Yeah, they threw the books away in Dover.
Oh, my
So they wouldn't be in the public.
Yeah, too bad Dover's not really that far away in the first year I worked there. I
Yeah.
got calls constantly being like, I have one of your books. I don't know why I found it here in the trash.
How long ago was that? And well, so this one.
2010.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Moving on.
We're done.
Wasn't your decision.
Not my decision.
So, any other reports on assessments then? No.
How do you want them?
Yeah, that's a good question.
She gave me, electronic file that just says draft over it because it was the draft. And when Alex and I both responded with our edits, she said, great, I'll make these and put a hard copy in the mail. So I'm sure I can get an electronic file,
Mhm.
but are we gonna create our own?
Well, we're gonna need it for
We're
fundraising.
gonna need it for
Even though-
fundraising, yeah.
The biggest source is now dead. 3.5 more years.
Yeah, maybe.
So I guess we're gonna need it from everybody, you know.
Mhm.
And PDF,
Maybe
And-
later.
PDF format.
I keep praying.
Yeah, I think PDF format's fine.
And who wants to keep it?
I don't care.
Where do you stand, Emma, on yours?
Ours should be done, I think they projected by the end of the year, we should have the final report, but we already know our square footage.
You do.
It's just the recommended
Right.
we're officially getting it written up in a report along with the recommendations, since I think probably we have the most diverse types of
Mhm.
objects.
Yeah.
What
Between
is your
like,
square footage?
can't remember off the top of my head, but
An attic full,
on.
one attic full.
yeah.
At least.
But I think the biggest, to me, in terms of square footage or cubic footage, the biggest question mark is gonna be city.
Yeah. by
It's
In terms
far.
of,
The city.
city,
Yeah,
in
we've got
terms
the
of-
largest collection.
yeah, because it's not just the library, it's what's here and
They're down there.
yeah, you've got all the disparate parts to add up.
So
It's gonna be the.
what departments are included at this point?
The city clerk's archives, and then the city archives that are stored in the basement.
Yeah,
And the library's special collections.
okay.
But that's it. It's not other departments.
No, schools said that they had some things, but it turned out to be like 2 drawers in a file cabinet or something. It's
And the
nothing at all.
painting and, you know,
But that they want included,
yeah, right.
and we didn't, it was agreed at the beginning that we wouldn't, that police and fire did not want to be involved.
Yeah.
So.
What about Public Works?
No, they.
They have
they
maps,
really
but they're.
actively use their archives all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think it's smart of them to want to stay where they are,
and they're,
Yeah,
because
And
they
they're-
use it every day.
yeah, it might be eventually some of the maps,
Yeah.
because they're digitizing them, so.
yes.
Yeah, they could
At
take
some
the
point they
original.
might want to, but we've got maps, we can just add that, like,
Yeah.
they need to be stored this way, and there might be a few more, but.
Yeah.
It's, you're
Nice.
right, the bulk of it is gonna be the stuff downstairs and there and over.
Have you thought about how much, like percentage wise, you're gonna leave for growth? Barbara and I just talked about it a lot,
That's
because hopefully the archaeological collection does not grow by
Not that
much.
much, yeah.
And with the understanding that of course it's going to at some point for some reason,
Mhm.
so to not have any growth. And then for our part, I think any archive that came that wasn't directly related to Strawberry Bank or Puddle Dock, I should say,
Mhm.
would just be given to the Athenaeum, but it's one in the same place if we're down this road.
Yeah.
So I didn't make that probably, I think I just put 20%,
Mhm.
whereas a actively collecting organization, that should be a much larger number.
Right.
But I'm putting it all on the Athenaeum.
And in our original discussion where she went through and talked to the city clerk and talked to Abby about downstairs, and
Right.
talked to my people about that. She asked that kind of question about how much they get each year.
Yeah,
But when she goes into each of those to study it, she'll dig deeper into, okay, this portion of it isn't gonna grow anymore. But this portion grows by 4 boxes a year or something,
Right.
nice.
but it's gonna depend on each collection, so I
Yeah,
can't,
well, that's
I
good.
can't answer that right now. But
Sure.
we did talk about making sure that it was the fact that history keeps happening, and we just,
Right.
yeah, we're just, we
It's
need
not
And
to.
if
stagnant.
something amazing happens and all of a sudden we need all of this more space, it would be good to.
Yeah, and I did ask her to
Leave room for it.
overestimate. I was like, just overestimate. I would rather have
Right.
more space than we need than too
Exactly.
little.
Right,
We'll always find something to do with that space.
yeah, so like when you dig up Puddle Dock and you find a car down there.
Now you know where to
That's
put it.
why we're not gonna dig it, Puddle Dock.
That's not the only reason you have to dig it, I discovered.
Yeah, we're not trying to get the federal government involved. Honestly, God.
So the other thing we have to start thinking about is then the fundraising piece, and that's part of the application for the 501c3 and and the justification, and I mean, it seems to me that, at least from our perspective, that the lack of interest in preserving cultural history, the federal government's part is an advantage to us trying to
Who else is
preserve
gonna
it.
do it?
So,
There's also, we've been asked, and I think we talked about this at the Athenaeum too, we've been asked about what's happening next year for the 250th.
mhm,
And there might be ways to leverage that as we talk to people about our history, as opposed to doing giant events, which a lot of us are
Tired
exhausted
of.
from the 400.
yeah,
But there might be a good tie-in for looking
That's
for,
a nice tie-in.
funds.
Yep.
Next year. The answer to your question, though. We were asked to store some of the sister city things, the sister city committee. items at the library, and I'm happy to do so if this committee feels that that's the appropriate place to store things like hard copies of the space assessments. We have a website where PDFs could go,
Mhm.
be stored just digitally, just an offer.
So who do I send a electronic PDF to? Which is the only way to have a PDF.
Well, we're gonna need it for multiple reasons, I guess, so.
So to you, or,
Yeah, I mean, I think we are,
I'll share it with Kristen as well. Just because.
we're gonna have to have a place for these records.
It'd be nice if we had an archives.
Yeah,
we will, yeah.
The electronic records,
yeah,
would it make sense to have it on the webpage for this committee?
yeah. I think so.
Mm-hmm. Nothing
Where the
secret
public
about
can see
it.
it
Right.
easily.
Yeah, there's nothing.
So who does that based website?
Um,
Kevin can,
well, I think
City
Monty,
Clerk?
definitely.
Monty probably, Monty, Stephanie.
Yeah,
Stephanie definitely, yeah.
yes.
So, I mean, we already have a place that's
Ready
available.
for it, right.
And I think we probably have to think about how to organize that
Mhm.
so that it's clear. We just have a hodgepodge of
Right.
stuff in there right now.
Well, if Monty's the contact, why don't you invite him to our next meeting and over what he needs?
Okay,
Brilliant.
yes.
What's Monty's last name?
Fun.
Bohannon.
Bannon?
He's in the newspaper every day.
He's been good.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And if we should also think about a press release when we actually form this.
Where is it up there? Is
Yes.
it the spelling of his last name? Is it on there?
Right.
Bohannon?
Came
Yeah,
down
do you know how to spell
time
it?
to Tell us about storing stuff. We could also
O-H-A.
talk to him about a press release.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's good on press releases.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk to him about that
Yeah,
and see what he thinks is best?
I'm sorry, I'm having
What?
Oh,
clogged
thank
ear,
you. Got it.
clogged ears. I don't know what it is.
Old age.
Old age and
City,
Summer.
I mean,
he's the
yeah, I guess-
communications director.
Okay.
allergy or something, I don't know.
Let me just see.
So,
So in terms of the timeframe for that press release, are you thinking when we get our application approved by the IRS
I think we can do it when we form the corporation
with the state?
with the state.
Mhm.
And that might be a good time, and once we get the 501c3,
We can do it again.
do it again, yeah.
I was thinking about that when you were talking about the timing,
Genius.
because we're not gonna be able to really we can look for grants, but we aren't gonna be able to get people to do donations until we have that 501c3
Actually, we can.
status.
Yes,
right?
because you're the fiscal agent for the moment, right?
Yeah, and once we have, once we're registered with the Secretary of State, we can get a taxpayer ID, which
Mhm.
means we can open a bank account, which means we can raise funds.
Right, I know we can raise funds, but are people gonna wanna give us funds if they don't have the if they don't have the ability
To write it off, you mean?
to write it off?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Since the Athenaeum will no longer be taking them.
I'm gonna start this around. Right.
Well, you could keep,
Absolutely.
you could keep the Athenaeum as a
This one of
fiscal
those?
agent until we get the IRS
Just asking.
approval. Right?
But with that, you
Sorry?
can write off the
Is there
donation.
something we should?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that we have a history of it, or is this just?
Are we on?
So
the-
either way, we've
It's
got
not
8
being
months.
broadcast
to-
today?
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
But it is. on
Can we, oh, no, I just didn't know if we could cut it out later on.
You could, yeah.
Didn't. Sorry. Just asking if it's a monumental moment that we want to preserved.
Photo op. Right.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't generally think that way, but it's probably a good way to think in this day and age.
Good point, George.
It is a good point.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
You can feel free to pass the pen around in case someone doesn't have a pen.
Does everyone have a pen? Need a pen?
I don't have one.
Keep
Send it around. Send it with it, just in case.
Um.
So I would think in terms of fundraising, we're really just moving into a period of promotion at this point
Yes,
and until we get the nonprofit approval. And then also a vision plan, right?
right. Well, we have to have quote unquote a staffing plan, budget
Yeah.
for the IRS. And as Valerie says, the budget doesn't have to be real.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms
It has
of,
to look right, but
in terms of fundraising,
Mhm.
we need a compelling plan, something real.
yes,
Not
Like a
what we
place
to the
that you're
IRS,
going to-
but here's the building, here's what we're gonna do with it,
Exactly.
here's how we're gonna staff it,
Agreed.
and all the reasons why.
yeah. There's a lot of reasons why,
Mhm.
Mhm.
both local and national.
We have 8 months to build that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully less. And I think that's the other thing is that, I mean, they're pretty clear that if we could get Senator Shaheen and Hassan maybe to give us a push
Mhm.
with the IRS, that might be helpful.
Yeah, it could go a lot sooner.
Yeah, so,
If there's anybody at IRS that you can talk to.
well, you know, it's interesting. I'm not sure whether fewer is better or worse. So,
So are we meeting in August? I don't know whether commissions meet in August.
let's talk about that. 'Cause what do we need?
It's fine.
Um,
25th is when are scheduled to.
yeah. I guess if some of this moves ahead. What I would like to do is keep the motion in motion, if you will. And I think we have to understand what the IRS needs and begin to work on that. Because the sooner we get that, the sooner we can move forward. So that's in the application for the 501c3, and I think I have a copy of that application.
So what do they need? They need a purpose and a simple budget, right?
Purpose and a budget. That's pretty much it. Let me just.
We could probably pull the purpose out of the
Yeah,
report that we did.
This only has 5 spaces for
So there's
signature.
a continuation page.
That I think is supposed to be continuation. Might look like it.
Doesn't look like the other.
No, has nothing to do.
That's what you get when you sit in the back of the room. What I said.
Yeah,
Yours was.
Streamlined application for exemption under 501(c)(3 and internal revenue code. Apparently there are we have, well, once we have the corporation, we have to designate officers. And
But that comes after the state approval.
yeah,
Or, sorry, date it.
but we need that.
I just crammed everything in.
right. I don't worry about
Yeah.
it. I think it's.
Started in.
So we could potentially do that at the next meeting, right?
Yeah,
Do what?
Yeah, the
yeah,
board of directors,
Board of
officer,
Directors,
Absolutely.
Stuff.
Way to do it.
yeah.
So you're ahead.
it's only a week, get this done.
And then organizational structure. It's a corporation.
What are they looking at with the budget? Just making sure you're gonna be viable? What are the red flags?
Well, that's a good question, and basically, you have to demonstrate that you're serious and that you're creating this organization. You have apparently 3 years. You have a 3-year budget,
Mhm.
and that, but
But it's a theoretical budget.
it's a theoretical budget.
To show you really
What to
are,
be doing.
yeah, to show you
It's
really
a
some
space-
benefit
right.
and not just shoving money somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would have to come up with that, I guess. And actually Valerie might
Mhm.
have some
Mhm.
input on what that needs.
Aside from, or assuming that the budget is viable and it makes sense, what are the conditions that they would ever reject an application?
That's a good question.
Probably
They-
nobody knows.
They hardly ever do.
Oh, really? That's good.
Hey, what?
They hardly ever do reject. Serious. I mean, the number of things they've gotten through as nonprofits, you wouldn't believe.
Mhm.
So it means nobody's rigging them. They just filled in all the blanks and you get.
There's nothing missing, that's it.
This year, however, being a history.
Are we supposed to be filling out both of these, Vince?
We'll probably have. to-
No, just one.
Just one or the other. Okay, because they have different information.
Probably.
Oh, just,
And
basically
we won't-
need name and address.
Okay.
Have history, only the old ones.
Did you get your whole address in the box?
And they left out the city. I
I
assume that
tried
was
to
it.
cram it in there in a little corner. It looks
I could have made a bigger box.
weird.
Yeah, it's a little,
Made it up while I was sitting here, so
Oh.
we get it.
sorry. Next time.
It'll be,
Next time.
Next organization we form.
that's correct.
Let's start a new one.
This one didn't work out so well. Let's try another one.
So we still need to get Linnea,
Mhm.
Tom,
Tom,
is that it?
Chuck.
Chuck,
Chuck, where's Chuckles?
don't forget Chuck. Sorry.
Sure, like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love that nickname.
You can call him that.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm sure you do.
Age has its benefits.
Oh, yeah, because it took you to get old.
And so also thanks to George, we have a domain name
Yes, that's great,
Terrific.
thank you.
and it's portsmoutharchive.org.
Perfect.
And
on it yet.
no,
We hope
and-
not.
But it's reserved.
and we have a second domain name, which is portsmoutharchives.org. Just because I had reserved that because I couldn't get that.
So you may want to have some different things on different.
Some people, some
Yeah, right.
people,
Let's.
what I found is when I had my company Data Archives,
Mhm.
it was Data Archive and Data Archives, and people just always used either one, you know, so good to have both,
It is. No, it is.
Exactly.
so,
More the better.
yeah.
So do we want to meet August 25th? And would you like to invite Monty to that meeting or
That would
to
be,
a
I
future?
think that's a good
Yep.
idea. And I'll just double check, let me see, because I am gonna have some vacation.
I'm not sure you're allowed a vacation.
Yeah, I know. The Sunapee on the 28th, so I'll be here. Anything else?
Move adjournment? How's that?
That's great.
Yeah,
Great.
good. See if you, see if we can intercept Lene on the way.
Well, I'll see if I can find her. Does she?
Don't